Hi, I'm Brent Johnson, and today we are at First Presbyterian Church in Springville, New York. Joining me is Charlie Porter. You're the proprietor of Heritage Pipe Organs Company here in Western New York. And tell me about this instrument that we're sitting in front of today.
So here we have a 1929 Teller's Kent. It was altered slightly in the 90s, but for the most part, it's in original condition. The suspicion is that there was a Feldgemacher tracker here, but the church burned in 1921. So we're on the 100th anniversary of the rebuilding of this church.
You think there might be some of the original
Some of the
Feldgemacher
pipes look older than the 20s.
Okay.
So the suspicion that some of the organ survived and was built into the Teller's Kent.
Because as we heard, some of the fire was contained probably to that end
Yeah,
of
the
the
fire
building.
was in the front of the building under the tower, and from the pictures, you can see that there's a little bit of organ remaining, so we think some of that was salvaged and put in here. Besides some minimal repair work, it has been working great for decades, no issues that we know of. So it's a wonderful instrument. It's one of the easiest ones to play. You can just close your eyes and put down any stop, and it'll sound good here.
Wonderful, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
So this is Taylor Koepka. He's the organist here at First Presbyterian. Taylor, how long have you been here?
About 5 years now.
Okay, 5 years, so you've had some time to get to know this instrument. We know some of it's really old, but most of it's from 1929. Let's just start right here in the grate with the first diapason, which is right here in the front. It's a big woolly sound. It
very
really,
commanding.
It feels like 1928, 29, so
yeah,
good.
Very present.
All right, well, and then on top of that, we have the 4-foot octave. That adds some brightness, but it's not
overpowering.
Not overpowering at all. Okay,
Yeah,
and let's keep going. Then the 2-foot super octave.
2-foot, okay.
Nice bright chorus there.
Bright. Yep.
You could lead a congregation on just those 3 stops.
Oh yeah, very easily. Yep.
All right, well, and then in the grate, and we have 2 more stops. We have 2 flutes. I want to hear the 8-foot melodia first.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
very
a warm, lovely flute. I guess an open wood flute from what I can see back there. So we'll have to go look. That's a wonderful sound. Mm-hmm. And then it's topped by a flute d'amour, 4-foot. Yeah, very nice. Let me hear that 4-foot by itself.
Yes.
You could use that as a solo down an octave even, and comparable
That's
to that 8, so you've got a couple of options there. All right.
Very good.
Well, that's all that's in the grate in this organ, save for a
okay.
set of chimes, which I assume were probably added later, is my guess.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, so that's
But
normal.
we got full G to G compass.
All right, standard compass there.
Yep.
Well, let's go look at the swell then. I want to start with the violin diapason.
Violin, all right.
That's almost a string compared to that first diapason.
It's like it's almost.
Yeah, being so dark, and then that one has so much edge to it, so that's an interesting comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then that's our only diapason tone in the swell.
Yep.
Then we have an 8-foot stopped flute.
Yes.
Let's hear that. Lovely. It's warm and it's gentle. Not quite as bright as some stop flutes are, so it's a nice big scale. And then, very 1929, so okay.
Yep.
I'll buy it.
Yep.
Then this has a harmonic flute harmonique
Oh, yeah.
in the swell. Let's hear that by itself. That's a much brighter sound than compared to the stop flute. So let's hear those two together and see how that colors that one. I see. So then that helps bring a lot of the life out of that to that stop flute that's so dark. All right, and we keep going. We've got a 2-foot piccolo.
2-foot piccolo, all right. The 2-foots on this organ were cut down, unfortunately, at some point.
Oh, okay.
During its time here,
they've been rescaled a little bit.
The 2-foot may have been like an Aileen, and the great 2-foot may have been a Dulciana.
Oh, I see. So
they were cut down.
They didn't even have that 2-foot tone necessarily.
No, it would have been mostly 8s and 4s.
Well, that explains a little bit why, especially the great 2-foot is so much brighter than the octave. But that's a lovely piccolo. I think that's a good addition.
Yeah.
Let me hear 8, 4, and 2 flutes all together.
Okay.
It fits in very well.
Yeah, it's very good for any music during the service.
Yeah, lovely sound. All right. And then one more stop in the swell, we've got an oboe.
Oboe, yes.
Very bright and buzzy sound there.
Yep.
We do have a tremolo. Does that work well with that oboe?
It does. It works great. Also wonderful with the flute and the string.
Okay. Add some life to it there. Now, I said we had one more. There's a 16-foot Borden, which I would expect is stopped flute or the pedal Borden, but it's its own.
It's its own ring.
It's a straight ring.
Yep.
All right, let's hear it.
It only goes tenor C.
Oh, okay. So it's just a.
But if you couple it to the great super couple, you get another flute option there.
Oh, so you can have an 8-foot stop flute. Then.
Yeah.
Let's try that. Try that the 16-foot couple down, but I want to add the 4-foot flute d'amore in the great with it. Let's see how that sounds. It gives you another 8 and 4 option in the great.
Yeah,
it's a little different colors than that
little bit.
That Melodia, which is lovely, but now you've got a darker, more covered 8-foot. All right. Yes. Just playing around a little bit. Now, let's take the 8-foot diapason in the swell, and I want to couple it to the great, and let's put the 4-foot octave on top of that. What does that sound like? Very different than the 8-foot first open in the great, but you still have that. That gives you much more 4-foot sound. What happens if you add the Melodia in the great now to that?
Melodia, all right.
It doesn't add quite as much fundamental as I was hoping, but it gives you something that you could almost do some contrapuntal music with it. It's bright enough with that violin diapason edge. That's lovely. There's so many options here, and just a few stops.
Yep.
All right, and then we do have one pedal rank, 2 stops.
It's a unit.
Yeah. So 16 and 8-foot Borden. Yeah, nice full sound here in the room.
Yep.
Makes a nice underpinning. So, well, great. I can't wait to hear it all together.
course, the ornate casework, very Tellers in its style. And then in here, another thing to note is the double rise reservoir, quite large. So the blower was replaced maybe in 2015. The previous blower was undersized, so there was a wind sag on a full registration. So we updated the blower. You can see in the back here, it still has the old hand pump. And it doesn't actually hand pump now. We had to close off the one-way valve because right before Christmas a few years ago, a squirrel found its way through the one-way valve and chewed a hole out through the corner of the reservoir. So that was a Christmas surprise that no one wanted. But we patched it up and it's as good as new. Pedal ranks in the back. The 8-foot pedal rank and an extra octave added in the 90s. So we have a 16/8 unit in the pedal. So, bit of a tubular pneumatic. This allows it sort of like a duplexing where you can play the 16-foot rank from the 8-foot. So it's got an extra set of magnets here. You can see it's tubed into the 16-foot chest. In the back you can see the bottom of the violin diapason. That's the swell stop, but they didn't fit in the swell chamber, so they're just outside the box. So these were originally tubular pneumatic chests that were switched over to have the Teller's frog mouth pouches, which if anyone knows what those are like, they can be very finicky, but by and large they're working fine here. Yeah, this is the old Action. They just left it here when we did the rebuild, maybe as a souvenir. There's also some pipes in the corner that you couldn't figure out which rank they came from, or if they were related at all. Those are still around somewhere. So in the base of the oboe here, so you can reach the base of the oboe through there, so you don't have to climb into the swell box. This one's a little tricky to move around in. I have to close the shades. The shades are actually, it's all mechanical. It's a counterweight system, so there's no particular stages. You have total control over the movement of the shades, which is nice. Here's the grate. This is the 4-foot flute d'amore, 4-foot octave, 2-foot super, 8-foot melodia, and then the 8-foot open diapason, which is continued in the facade. The facade also has the remnants of the great Dulciana. That would be the 2 towers. Those, that Dulciana was removed and replaced with a 2-foot super sometime in the past, not really sure when, but the facades are still there. And Taylor was able to track them down, figure out if they were still there. So here in the swell, in the back, is a violin diapason, and then 8-foot flute, 2-foot piccolo tucked back there, makes it a little tricky to tune, but and then our 16-foot Borden tenor C, the oboe, and then the 4-foot harmonic flute here. Since everything's on the same level, a lot of the swell can be tuned to the great 4-foot octave, which makes the tuning very stable. One of the original signers of the organ. So, set up by W.A. Summerhoff, organ builder, Erie, PA, April 1922. Teller's Sommerhof was the company before Teller's Ken. Expression shoe is counterweighted by this basket of bricks. I don't know when this dates from, but it's surprisingly effective. And then here's the stop action. These are ventil chests. You can hear the ventils filling up and exhausting.
Well, Charlie and Taylor, thank you so much for showing us around this wonderful 1929 Teller's organ built right down the road in Erie, PA. So not far away. It was a local company that has a lot of little instruments in the area, I assume. So great to hear this one and to know that maybe there's even some older stuff back in there from the Felgemacher company. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and remember to subscribe. We have more videos from the Western New York area coming out. And remember, for streaming classical organ music 24 hours a day, you can visit our 3 streaming stations, OrganLive.com, Positively Baroque, and The Organ Experience. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Organ Media Foundation and help us make more videos like this one, you can go to organ.media and click on support. Thank you again both. Hope to see you again soon. I'm Brent Johnson. I'll talk to you next time.